Hello, I'm Alma Angeles and you're watching Eagle News International. Good evening, CJ.
Good evening, Alma, and good evening to everyone joining us tonight. Here are the top headlines.
First, the majority of overseas Filipino workers living in Israel, including those working in the city of Ashkelon and other areas near the Gaza Strip, are now back to their normal lives. That according to Philippine Ambassador to Israel, Makariog Alberto, on Monday.
The OECD raised its 2021 global GDP growth forecast, but warned that too many headwinds persist as not enough COVID vaccines are reaching emerging economies and markets worry about inflation.
Good.
Investigators are at the scene after two people were killed and at least 20 injured when three shooters fired into a crowd outside a concert in the Miami area. The shots erupted near a banquet and events hall in a strip mall in Miami Gardens, a heavily Cuban community of working-class families.
And director Carlo Cuevas and young actor Jason Cavanorio won the Best Director and Best Actor in a featured film, respectively, for ABC Films' Guerrero Dos, Tuloy ang Laban, in the recent awarding ceremonies of International Film Festival Manhattan, New York, Spring 2021.
First, in the Middle East, Israeli nationalist hardliner Naftali Bennett said he would join a potential coalition government that could end the rule of the country's longest-serving leader, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Lawmakers opposed to right-wing Netanyahu have been in intense talks ahead of a Wednesday deadline as a ceasefire held following the latest deadly military conflict with Islamist group Hamas in the Gaza Strip. Netanyahu, 71 years old, who faces trial on fraud, bribery, and breach of trust charges, which he denies has clung to power throughout a period of political turmoil that has seen 4 inconclusive elections in under 2 years. A March vote saw Netanyahu's Likud party gain the most seats, but he again failed to form a government. Opposition leader and former TV anchor Yair Lapid now has until Wednesday evening to build a rival coalition. Lapid, 57, is seeking a diverse alliance the Israeli media has dubbed a bloc for change, which would include Bennett as well as Arab Israeli lawmakers. In his determination to bring down the hawkish prime minister, Lapid has offered to share power and let Bennett, 49 years old, as you can see here, serve the first term in a rotating premiership. Bennett, after meeting members of his religious National First Yamina party, said Sunday, quote, "I will do everything to form a national unity government with my friend Yair Lapid." Lapid and Bennett's party started talks on Sunday night to formalize the deal, according to their statement. Religious National First Yamina won 7 seats in March 23 elections, but one member has refused to join an anti-Netanyahu coalition. Netanyahu has been in office for 12 consecutive years after an earlier 3-year term. In his own televised address minutes later, lashed out at the plan, calling it a danger for the security of Israel.
The majority of overseas Filipino workers or OFWs living in Israel, including those working in the city of Ashkelon and other areas near the Gaza Strip, are now back to their normal lives. Philippine Ambassador to Israel, Makariog Alberto, said. In a Laging Handa briefing, Alberto said that the around 300 Filipinos living near the Gaza Strip are safe and have gone back to work following the ceasefire between the Israeli government and Palestinian militant group Hamas on May 21st. Take a look.
Ngayon po, nagkaroon po ng ceasefire simula po noong May 21, alas 2 po ng madaling araw. So mapayapa na po ngayon ang sitwasyon sa Gaza, ganun din po sa Israel. So inaasam po natin na magkaroon ng magpatuloy ang katahimikan. So wala na pong rocket attack, wala na mortar attack dito sa Israel. Masisiguro po natin kasi una yung depensa po ng Israel, yung tinatawag po na Iron Dome. So kung meron po mga rocket attack na nangyayari, mataas po ang porsyento na nasasagupa nila yung mga rocket attack na nasa lubong ng Iron Dome. So, ligtas po ang mga Pilipino rito. Pangalawa po, kung meron pong gano'n, meron pong warning na binibigay. May sirena po. So, nagkakaroon po ng pagkakataon ng mga Israeli, ganun din ang mga Pilipino na nakatira sa Israel na pumunta po sa mga bomb shelter at mga pagtago po. Opo, balik normal na po ang pamumuhay nila. Tama po yun, meron po tayong 300 Pinos sa may Asdod, Askelon, sa mga bayan po na malapit sa Gaza Strip. Ito pa ang mga lugar na marami pong pinabaksakan ng rocket pero nasa lubong po ng Iron Dome at nakapagbigay po ng warning yung Israeli government at nakapagtago po sa mga bomb shelter. So, ligtas po yung mga Pilipino natin. Sa ngayon po, balik trabaho na po sila.
Meanwhile, to Malaysia now, where it opened its first mega COVID-19 vaccination center in the capital, and officials say its halls are capable of inoculating thousands of people a day. Here's Alfred Balmes for the report. Alfred.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Due to increasing volume of people to get vaccinated, the Malaysia International Trade and Exhibition Center will operate on a mega scale by increasing its daily capacity to up to 8,000 vaccine recipients starting June 7. According to Dr. Noor Maisura Harun, MITEC PPC coordinator, they need approximately 300 to 500 staff to handle the daily capacity between 6,000 and 8,000 vaccine recipients. They will receive more volunteers in which supply of vaccine unexpected. They will start the mega-scale operation on June 7. They has 250 staff, 85 of whom were from the Ministry of Health. Dr. Maisura said the current capacity of vaccine recipient at the center, which operates from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. from Monday to Friday, is between 2,400 and 2,800 daily. The number includes 30 to 50 Raj pilgrims listed by Tanjung Haji. She added that they will expect an increase in the number of Haji pilgrims to be vaccinated, and the entire vaccination process for each recipient at the center will take less than 1 hour. However, Mala Nurasaimi, the acting chief operating officer of MyTech, will continue to cooperate with the COVID-19 Immunization Task Force and the MOH to make all the necessary preparation ahead of the commencement of the mega-scale operation. To ensure the operation well organized, they will open more halls to increase the capacity as there are only 2 halls currently being used. They will provide assistance such as wheelchair for recipients who might need it. Back to you, Alma.
Thank you very much, Alfred, for your update. Looking forward to more updates coming from Kuala Lumpur. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Live reporting from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. This is Alfred Balmes. We live in interesting times.
Back here in the Philippines, Malacanang is encouraging senior citizens who have been fully vaccinated against COVID-19 to continue staying indoors as they remain at high risk for the respiratory disease. This after the National Commission on Senior Citizens chairperson Franklin Quijano urged the national government to allow the elderly who have been fully vaccinated to go out to help boost the economy and for their total wellness. Take a look.
Kakatanda sa pagbuhay.
Unang-una, hindi naman po absolutely prohibited ang mga seniors na lumabas. Pwede po silang lumabas para bilhin yung mga kinakailangan nila. Kung kinakailangan pumunta ng mall para dito, pinapayagan naman sila. Pangalawa, pinapayagan silang mag-exercise dahil importante naman talaga exercise para sa health promotions dahil kinakailangan manatiling malusog laban sa COVID-19. Pero yung pagpapalabas po after the vaccination, tingin ko po depende yan kung ma-achieve na natin yung population protection. No? Ibig sabihin, hindi lang naman po yung mga may bakuna ang po pwede magkaroon ng protection. Kinakailangan, mas marami pa sa populasyon na magkakaroon ng protection dahil ang bakuna po is not a guarantee na hindi na kayo tatamaan ng COVID. It is a guarantee na siguro hindi kayo magkakasakit ng malala o hindi kayo mamamatay, pero iba po ang kondisyon ng mga seniors. They are especially vulnerable. So ang effect po ng bakuna sa isang malusog na kabataan ay hindi po kapareho sa isang matanda. So let us veer on the safer side na hanggang wala pa pong population protection, habang hindi pa natin nababakunuhan ng 70% ng ating populasyon, stay at home muna po ang mga lolo at lola.
Staying here in the country, presidential spokesperson Harry Roque also said he has no plans or authority to file cases against Cebu Governor Gwendolyn Garcia over the latter's non-compliance to the national government swabbing policy for returning overseas Filipino workers and overseas Filipino or ROFs and overseas Filipino workers. Let's listen in.
Sa ibang mga bagay tungkol po kay Cebu Governor Gwen Garcia, wala pong katotohanan ang mga lumalabas na report na may plano ako kasama di umano si Justice Secretary Maynard Guevara na magsampa ng kaso laban po kay Governor Gwen Garcia. No? Lininaw po natin ito kay Secretary Anyo. Ang sinabi po niya, ang ipinarating lang niya kay dating Justice Presbyterio Velasco na namumuno po ng mga Leagues of Governor ay kakausapin namin si Governor Gwen Garcia. Napakahirap pong kaso po ako laban kay Governor Gwen dahil unang-una, hindi po yan kasama sa katungkulan ko bilang isang spokes. Laway lang po ako bilang spokes. Pangalawa po, maski ako'y bigyan ng ganyang kapangyarihan, alam naman po ng marami na mag-BFF po kami ni Governor Gwen at hindi ko po magagawa yon. Siguro ibang tao pong gagawa nun kung kinakailangan. No? Pero naniniwala naman po ako na nag-innovate po ang ating Governor Gwen Garcia nung siya'y nagpa-implement ng polisiya na hindi kapareho dito sa Maynila noong mga panahon na kulang po ang kanilang mga kama for isolation. Pero ang pag-uusap po kung mapapatupad pang tuluyan itong kakaibang protocols pagdating sa mga OFWs at returning Filipinos ay pag-uusapan po mamaya ni Governor Gwen Garcia at ng ating Presidente. Antayin na lang po natin ang resulta ng kanilang pag-uusap. Inuulit ko po, wala pong kapangyarihan magsampa ng kahit anong kaso kay Governor Gwen Garcia at hindi ko po gagawin yon sa aking BFF.
Garcia earlier issued an executive order which was adapted into an ordinance by the Cebu Provincial Board requiring a maximum of 3-day stay in a hotel as against the Interagency Task Force Against Emerging Infectious Diseases resolution that requires a 10-day quarantine in a hotel. Secretary Roque also confirmed that President Duterte's meeting with Governor Garcia to discuss the national government order to divert international flights bound for Mactan Cebu International Airport to Ninoy Aquino International Airport will push through on Monday afternoon. He said President Duterte and Governor Garcia will also discuss the IATF protocols on the swabbing of ROFs and OFWs. Governor Garcia has maintained that she didn't violate any laws over the IATF swabbing policy.
The nation's total number of recovered COVID-19 cases has reached 1,155,045 after 6,098 more recoveries were reported today. In its latest case bulletin, the Department of Health noted that recoveries account for 93.9% of the total case of a COVID-19 count, which has reached 1,230,301 since the start of the pandemic last year. The agency also reported 6,684 new cases, bringing the total number of active cases to 54,290. About 93.3% of these active cases are mild, 2.2% are asymptomatic, 1.4% are critical, 1.8% are severe, and 1.28% are moderate. Some 107 new deaths were also reported, pushing the country's total number of COVID-19 fatalities to 20,966.
And now we go back to Malaysia, where more than 80,000 children have tested positive for COVID-19. Joining us live for that story, here's Ruby Tinawin. Hello, Ruby.
Hello, Alma. Good evening.
Good evening, Ruby.
Malaysia's Health Minister, Dr. Adham Baba, has expressed his concern over the increasing number of COVID-19 infections among infants and children, bringing the latest total count to 82,341, with the number increasing by more than 30,000 in the last 1 week. Out of the total alarming figure, Dr. Adham said 19,851 cases involved children below 4 years old, while 8,237 cases aged 5 to 6, 26,851 are 7 to 12, and 27,402 are 13 to 17 years. But all of them were COVID-19 patients in categories 1, 2, and 3. Now, he also added no one among these children are in ICU right now. Dr. Adham made the announcement this morning in a joint conference with the coordinating minister of the National COVID Immunization Program, Khairi Jamaluddin, to discuss the development of the country's immunization exercise. Adham advised parents or guardians to be more responsible in protecting the group from being infected, such as by not taking their children to crowded places. He also added that although there was no provision under the Prevention and Control of Infectious Diseases Act 1988 that allows compounds to be imposed on parents who take their children to crowded places, investigation papers can be opened. Meanwhile, following the sudden increase in new cases, Adham said the health ministry planned to expand screening testing using RTK-AG with the assistance of state governments. Back to you, Alma.
Yes. Ruby, starting tomorrow, I believe Malaysia will start on its full lockdown. Can you please tell us more? What will happen tomorrow?
Okay, yes, that's right. Starting tomorrow. So there will be a lot of changes, but this will be more like MCO 1.0, where some restrictions are similar to MCO 1.0. Like, for example, there's only 2 people allowed in a car unless it's for medical reasons. So they are extending it to 3. Now, all education sectors are closed except for those students who are sitting for international exams. Now, back to work from home as normal. So in the last 2 days, you see that the traffic is really heavy, Alma, because a lot of people are trying to go back to their hometowns, perhaps, and trying to, buy as much as supplies possible, because in the next 14 days, most of us will be at home. Alma?
Mm-hmm. So is there any kind of panic buying going on right there now?
They don't want to say there are, but you see, if you walk outside, you see that all the grocery supermarkets are really full of people. You know, the queue is really, really long from morning to evening. So because those shopping malls as well and supermarkets, they impose restrictions. If before they don't look at your My Sejahtera app, because we do have this My Sejahtera app.
Yes.
Yeah?
My
So
Sejahtera
this
app,
one.
yes, yes.
So if before they don't actually look at this, now those malls will require you to show, because this will actually display whether you are low risk or you have contacted someone with COVID-19, and then they will stop you from entering those malls, Alma.
All right. So what do you call that again? My Sejahtera? My Sejahtera
Yes,
app.
it's called My Sejahtera app.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you can see it clearly, but it's
Yes,
called My
we can.
Sejahtera app. Yeah.
There you go.
The same app where we actually registered for AstraZeneca vaccine a few days ago that caused a lot of news over here, and perhaps you probably have heard that as well. Yeah,
Yes. Go ahead.
Yes, Alma?
Yes. You mentioned AstraZeneca vaccine. Can you tell us any experience with that?
Oh, yes.
experiences of the
I do
public?
have,
Experience
I
of the
do
public
have
with that?
quite
Yes.
an experience to share, because on that day, in phase 2, May 23rd to 26th was actually open for senior citizens. But all of us are expecting that it will be open on the 27th for those who are below 60 years old. But then there was an announcement that on the 26th, 12 noon, the government will actually open the app for registration, to those people who are below 60. And so everybody was waiting. And that was including myself. So when we logged in, there was a tweet and saying that, okay, 12 o'clock, 12 noon, I'm so sorry, we are unable to open in. There's some maintenance going on, so please wait until 12:15. And then when 12:15 started, you'll see that the social media is really very busy because people are frustrated. We were clicking and it's not bringing us to the destination that we wanted because you need to indicate which state are you from. Then only you can choose your date. When do you want to have your vaccine? So we were stuck. And what happened after that, because a lot of people complained, the following day they were surprised to see that the registration actually went through. And so a lot of them are still shocked. They were happy in a way because they said it was a pleasant surprise. They were not expecting to get in, but they managed to book a slot. But I guess I was not, fortunate to have that, so I'm still waiting for my application to be processed.
All right. I hope you get your registration figured out soon. Thank you very much for your time.
Yes, thank you very much. Reporting live here in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. This is Ruby Tinawin. We live in interesting times.
We now go to Singapore, where the country will start vaccinating school children against COVID-19 soon. The Prime Minister said after officials warned that new strains were affecting youngsters more. Take a look.
The next group to be vaccinated will be students. In this latest outbreak, we've seen more cases of children getting infected in schools and tuition centers. The children were not seriously ill, but parents are naturally worried. Therefore, we will take full advantage of the June holidays to vaccinate students. Bookings will open tomorrow. We will give priority to the graduating cohorts for O, N, and A levels, as well as special needs students. Then the other students, 12 years and above, will take their turn, including students in our institutions of higher learning.
The city-state recently tightened curbs following a slight uptick in cases after months of reporting barely any local transmissions. This included closing schools amid signs that new variants, such as the one first detected in India, were affecting children in greater numbers. In a televised speech, Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong announced school students aged 12 and over will be the next group to be inoculated. Health regulators approved the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine for 12 to 15-year-olds this month. It was previously only allowed for those aged 16 and above.
And to Canada now, where most regions of Quebec in the orange zone as of May 31. Here's Eagle News correspondent Andre Lajoie for the details.
As a sign that the epidemiological situations continue to improve, the Prime Minister of Quebec, François Legault, today announced several level changes that will come into effect on Monday, May 31st at 12:01 a.m. Thus, the entire region of the Capital National, Laurentides, Lanaudière, Montérégie, and l'Outaouais will go from the maximum alert level red to the alert level of orange. The regions of Bas-Saint-Laurent, Chaudière-la-Appalaches, and Estrie will also move to the orange level except for a certain specific sector which will remain in the red level. Among the measures in force in the orange zone, let us mention in particular the reopening of restaurants, maximum of 2 people per table, accompanied, if applicable, by their minor children or occupant of the same private residence per table. Full-time return to school for secondary 3, 4, and 5 students. A maximum of 100 people in place of worship, with the exceptions of weddings and funerals, which are limited to 25 people. François Legault, Premier of Quebec, was saying that they are aiming for more than 75% of all age groups to be vaccinated. I need your solidarity so that the Quebec continues to win, says the Premier. One of the first objectives of the confinement plan is that most regions have returned to the orange level on May 31st. Thanks to the collaboration of the population, this objective will be achieved. The situation continues to be closely monitored in all regions. In the effort are sustained, other regions or sectors could move to the orange level shortly. Immunizations coverage is also an important factor. This is why I invite people who have not yet made their appointment for their first dose to do so as soon as possible, says Christian Dubé, Minister of Health and Social Services. Reporting from Ottawa, Canada, this is André Lajoie. We live in interesting times.
And the news continues here on Eagle News. CJ and I will be back right after this break.
Mula noon hanggang ngayon, gabay natin ang MTRCB ratings sa matalino at responsableng panonood. Sa tamang pagsunod sa MTRCB ratings, ginagawa nating ligtas at makabuluhan ang panonood ng bawat miyembro ng pamilyang Pilipino. Lumipas man ang panahon, hanggang may pamilyang Pilipino, andyan ang MTRCB.
Arnie Aquino here at Hatley Castle, one of the filming locations for the X-Men series. Don't forget to tune in to Digital Nest only on Net 25.
Welcome back to the news. The OECD released its 2021 global GDP growth forecast today, but warned that too many headwinds persist as not enough COVID vaccines are reaching emerging economies and markets worry about inflation. It is with some relief that we can see the economic outlook brightening, but with some discomfort that it is doing so in a very uneven way. That's OECD Chief Lawrence Boone saying that in the report. The world economy will expand by 5.8% this year, the highest since 1973, and up from a previous estimate of 5.6%, the Paris-based Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development said in that report. Most economies should return to their 2019 pre-pandemic levels next year, the OECD said. This follows a massive global recession last year that was caused by lockdowns and travel curbs imposed by governments to slow the spread of COVID-19. The recovery is uneven so far, with the United States and China returning to pre-pandemic levels and forecast to have much stronger growth than other major economies such as Japan and Germany. While the US and South Korea are back to their pre-pandemic income levels, it could take an additional year for much of Europe and 3 to 5 years for Mexico and South Africa to catch up.
In other news, China will allow couples to have 3 children after a census showed its population is rapidly aging. That, according to state media today, further unwinding 4 decades of strict family planning controls in the world's most populous nation, which have strangled the birth rate. Take a look.
挺好的，因为现在老龄化挺严重的，我觉得它发布的有点晚了，应该早一点。 像我们可能已经错过了那个再生一个的这个时机，对，所以我觉得国家应该早一点发布。
In 2016, China relaxed its controversial one-child policy, one of the world's strictest family planning regulations, to a two-child policy due to widespread concerns over an aging workforce and economic stagnation. Despite government efforts to encourage couples to have children, China's annual births have continued to plummet to a record low of 12 million in 2020. The National Bureau of Statistics said last month as the cost of living rises and women increasingly make their own family planning choices. The slump threatens a demographic crisis, which has alarmed the ruling Communist Party headed by President Xi Jinping, booking in a shortage of young workers to drive an economy experts say will by 2050 will have to support hundreds of millions of elderly. A Monday meeting of the elite Politburo Leadership Committee, hosted by President Xi, announced a further loosening of the state's controls over the size of families, and the Politburo meeting also promised accompanying support measures that are also conducive to the country's population structure, though these were left unspecified.
Investigators are at the scene after 2 people were killed and at least 20 injured when 3 shooters fired into a crowd outside a concert in the Miami area. The shots erupted near a banquet and events hall in a strip mall in Miami Gardens, a heavily Cuban community of working-class families. Take a look.
Just covered it. The worst phone call in my life, just to keep him calm and let him know that we are still with him. He was telling us, if something happens, it's burning. And if something happens to him, that he loves us. And we said, we love you too, but no, you're not just... You're going to survive this, You have purpose. So he's a college grad. It's not like he's a bad kid. Sometimes children put themselves in harm's way, but in this case, he hadn't even had the opportunity to even enjoy the party. They were just going inside, and they said that some guys came out with hoodies and ski masks and just started spraying up the crowd for whatever reason. No one knows.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked because that's not something that I want for my business. I heard there was 2 dead. That's not good. That's not good, man. Many shots. So, I'm worried.
The venue was hosting a scheduled event and several patrons were standing outside, Miami-Dade Police Department said in a statement. When a Nissan Pathfinder SUV approached the scene, police added 3 subjects, exited the vehicle, and began shooting indiscriminately into the crowd. The trio fled. Their motive still unknown. Police said in addition to the 2 people killed at the scene, at least 20 people were hospitalized, 1 in critical condition. Police were seeking help from the community in finding the shooters. Florida remains marked by the 2016 shooting at the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, in which a gunman killed 49 people, many of them young Cuban Americans, and over the past year, gun-related homicides have surged nationwide.
Ma'am, if I gave you an actual...
Polish police said Monday they were investigating a fake bomb threat that forced a Ryanair passenger plane traveling from Dublin to Krakow to make an emergency landing in Berlin. Regional police spokesman Sebastian Glenn said that police checked and there was no device, no bomb threat at all, so they said they know this was a false alarm. He also said the perpetrator has not been detained, but they're doing everything possible to establish their identity. With 160 people on board, the flight arrived at the Berlin-Brandenburg airport shortly after 8 p.m. local time Sunday. The passengers were later transferred onto another plane, which took off early Monday morning. The incident comes a week after a Ryanair flight was forced to divert to Belarus with a passenger, a dissident journalist, arrested on arrival. And in July last year, also another Ryanair plane from Dublin to Krakow was forced to make an emergency landing in London after a false bomb threat.
In other news, the international airport of Vietnam's capital will suspend inbound flights from abroad beginning Tuesday, the country's aviation body announced, as it grapples with a fresh wave of virus outbreaks. A temporary suspension of receiving international flights will begin at Hanoi's Noi Bai International Airport from June 1st at midnight until June 7th, the Civil Aviation Administration of Vietnam said in a statement today. Vietnam's health minister said over the weekend that authorities had discovered a highly infectious new hybrid variant, a combination of the Indian and UK variants. Outbound international flights will continue from Hanoi, the statement said, but the government did not say if domestic flights would be part of the suspension. While authorities promptly rolled back the assertion by saying the mutation still needed to be studied further, alarm sounded across the country as it struggled to contain fresh outbreaks in more than half its territory. Last week, Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam's southern business hub, issued a halt on foreign arrivals in its Tan Son Nhat International Airport. The suspension was supposed to be lifted by June 4th, but the CAAP announced Monday that it would continue until June 14th. Vietnam has already limited entries of foreign arrivals due to its COVID-19 restrictions, and every person coming in is subjected to mandatory quarantine.
In other news, Ukraine's ambassador to Thailand died early Sunday on the southern beach island of Koh Lipe while on vacation with his son, according to police, with the cause of the death still undetermined. Andriy Beshta is a 45-year-old career diplomat who was appointed as Ukraine's ambassador in Thailand in 2016. The National Police said Sunday Beshta was found dead around 5:30 a.m. local time in his room at a hotel resort in Koh Lipe, an idyllic beach island popular with travelers for its crystal blue waters. The medical team first on the scene had worn PPE suits as a precaution to investigate the body, while authorities had questioned the ambassador's son, Ostap, who had shared the room with him. Now, he said his father had gone to bed around 11 p.m. the night before, but had woken up at 4:30 a.m. vomiting before falling unconscious, according to Kisana, who added that other witnesses were also questioned. Beshta's body was sent first to a local hospital for an autopsy before it was transported to a police hospital in the Thai capital Bangkok for further investigation into the cause of his death. He has spent more than a decade of his career in Thailand, according to the embassy's website, arriving first in 2007 as a counselor to the diplomatic mission in Bangkok. He was appointed the embassy's deputy director general in 2011, taking over as ambassador in 2016.
Large areas are flooded in the province of Canterbury in New Zealand on Monday after heavy rains in the region. Authorities declared a state of emergency there in the province on Sunday.
Well, I went to bed about 10 o'clock last night and it was not a sign of the river. Get up at 6 o'clock this morning and it's gone. Half the farm's underwater.
Acting Emergency Management Minister Chris Fafoy, who visited the hardest hit southern parts of the area, said about 3,000 homes were at risk and the Army had been mobilized to assist with evacuations if necessary. In coastal Christchurch, the main city in Canterbury, forecasters expected about 100 millimeters to fall, well above the monthly total average for May. Canterbury Civil Defence Emergency Management Group Controller Neville Riley told the New Zealand Herald that the state of emergency was declared because authorities could not afford to take chances.
Authorities from the Bureau of Customs here and the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, or DENR, have foiled an attempt to smuggle different wildlife species declared as Lego toys from Malaysia. This after the BOC port of Ninoy Aquino International Airport, with the Wildlife Traffic Monitoring Unit, or WTMU, of DENR apprehended the claimant of a package containing various wildlife species in FedEx warehouse in Pasay City on Friday. Port of Naiya District Collector Carmelita Talusan on Saturday said the package declared as Lego toys came from Kuala Lumpur. And upon examination, it was discovered that 20 sulcata tortoises, 10 razorback turtles, 1 red-bearded dragon, 2 corn snakes, and 8 savanna lizards were concealed with the toys. The BOC said both the claimant and the consignee will face charges for illegal importation of wildlife species under Section 1113 in relation to Section 117 and 1401 of Republic Act 10863, or Customs, Modernization and Tariff Act, and Section 27 of RA 9147, or Wildlife Resources Conservation and Protection Act. The BOC, through the leadership of Commissioner Ray Leonardo Guerrero, is in agreement with DENR to uphold wildlife protection and its conservation.
In other news, search teams are looking for one missing person after rescuing all other passengers from a large ferry that caught fire in Indonesia, according to an official. The KM Karya in a remote port in the northeast of the Indonesian archipelago, when it was engulfed in flames. Shortly after departing, the ferry caught fire, forcing passengers and crew to plunge into the sea to save themselves. There are no reported casualties. More than a dozen crew members have been detained and questioned by the local police to determine the cause of the fire. Maritime accidents are common in Indonesia due to poor safety standards, but passenger ferries are widely used for transport in the archipelago of some 17,000 islands. In 2019, 21 people died when an overloaded ferry sank in rough seas of Java's north coast. Eagle News will be back with more stories. Please don't go away.
Welcome back. Nonito Donaire used a powerful left hook and 3 knockdowns to become the oldest fighter to win a bantamweight title with a 4th-round knockout of WBC champion Nordin Kubali on Saturday night in Los Angeles. The 36-year-old Donaire reached up and turned back the hands of time at the Dignity Sports Health Park Avenue, or venue, as he reclaimed the WBC title that he held in 2011. Take a look.
They already see what I'm close from him because he's a very good fighter. You know, you don't become a world champion by not being a good fighter. He he was great, and I had to kind of figure out what I need to do to sacrifice. And I said to myself that, well, in order for me to really land this punch, I have to sacrifice getting hit with the straight to land my hook, and that's what happened, you know. And I tasted his power. I'm like, I can do this. I tasted his power again. I'm like, okay, I can definitely do this. And that I'm here to fight anybody, and I've always been that person. But my main goal is get the rematch, and then getting the undisputed champion or whatever it is. You know, for me, is the ultimate is being undisputed.
Right. So the order doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Après, au premier abord, sur les 2 premiers rounds, ça se passait bien, même limite trop bien. Donc je me suis peut-être démobilisé un peu et c'est là qu'on sait qu'en boxe, tout, sur un coup, tout peut arriver. Il m'a touché à la tempe et puis quand tu es touché à la tempe, qui que tu sois, ça fait mouche.
Now, Donaire knocked the French champion down twice in the 3rd round and then finished him off halfway through the 4th round with a stinging uppercut to raise his record to 41-6 with 27 knockouts in the 3rd round. Donaire scored his first knockdown with 2 consecutive left hooks that led to referee Jack Rice giving Ubali a standing 8 count. Ubali got up, but was still in a fog and defenseless when the Filipino dropped him a second time with a devastating left as the bell sounded to end the round. Donaire ended the fight in the 4th by landing a combination followed by an uppercut that sent Ubali to the canvas for the 3rd time.
They call me Yoda.
In other sports news, a Celtics fan threw a water bottle from the stands at Nets guard Irving in Boston's City Gardens Sunday night after Brooklyn beat Boston to go up 3-1 in their first round of playoff series. We have Tenny Sumake with more stories. Tenny.
Thanks, CJ. Kyrie Irving isn't well liked by Boston sports fans after the guard left the Celtics for the Brooklyn Nets 2 seasons ago. Irving wasn't quite expecting a warm reception from fans, but inappropriate fan behavior continues to spread across sporting arenas after a Celtics fan threw a water bottle at the All-Star Gar Sunday night after the conclusion of the game. The fan was arrested, and Irving plus Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Jason Tatum respond to the incident, but the notorious fan behavior that is occurring across NBA sporting arenas, including Philadelphia, New York, and Utah. Take a look.
Fortunate, that sports has come to a lot of this, kind of crossroads where you're seeing a lot of old ways come up. It's been that way in history in terms of entertainment and performers in sports for a long period of time of just underlying racism and just treating people like they're in a human zoo. Throwing stuff at people, saying things. There's a certain point where it just gets to be too much. We're not at the theater. We're not throwing tomatoes and other random stuff at the people that are performing. It's too much. And it's a reflection on, us as a whole when you have fans acting like that. So, hopefully people learn their lessons from being banned for however many years of being arrested, but, there's always going to be an occasion. So.
But when you come to these games, you got to realize, man, these men are human. We not animals. We not in a circus. You coming to the game is not all about you as a fan. So have some respect for the game, have some respect for these human beings, and have some respect for yourself. Your mother wouldn't be proud of you throwing water bottles at basketball players or spitting on players or tossing popcorn. Fans should come in and boo or cheer or do whatever they got to do. But just, throwing things and the disrespectful language and it's ridiculous at this point. There's some got to be enforced, with the NBA as far as fans. Like somebody has to be made an example. I don't think just banning fans, from the arena is good enough because continuous. You see, different arenas, fans continue to do it. So, something has to be put in place.
I mean, 18,000 people in the building. I guess in any arena there are a few bad seeds. I don't want that to overshadow, the rest of the fans that came and supported us tonight. I was extremely happy to see that. But obviously, there's no place in the NBA for, throwing bottles or throwing anything at a player.
The Nets look to wrap up their series with the Celtics Tuesday night at Barclays Center. In New York, Tenny Sumagi, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, CJ.
Thank you so much, Denny. And this after a fan threw popcorn at Russell Westbrook. They have to, be at their best now, the fans watching the games. Thank you so much, Denny, for your update.
Thank you.
And finally, in our news, director Carlo Cuevas and young actor JC Sabenorio won the Best Director and Best Actor in a featured film, respectively, for EBC Films' Guerrero 2, Tuloy Ang Laban, in the recent awarding ceremonies of the International Film Festival, Manhattan, New York, Spring 2021. Joining us live is MJ Racadio for that report. MJ.
Yes, Alma, good evening. Another milestone for EBC Films because we won 2 major awards. Well, Best Director, Carlo Ortega Cuevas, and Best Actor, JC Sabenorio. Let's listen in.
From the Philippines, Guerrero 2, Carlo Ortega Cuevas.
Hi, this is Carlo Cuevas, the writer and the director of the movie Guerrero 2, The Fight Continues from Philippines, produced by EBC Films. I would like to thank our Almighty God and the Iglesia ni Cristo Executive Minister, Brother Eduardo V. Manalo. Thank you so much for the guidance and support, and thank you for trusting us to be part of this movie. I would also like to thank International Film Festival Manhattan for this recognition. This award means so much to me, and I would like to dedicate this award and congratulate the whole team, especially the cast, the production team, the staff and the crew. And we worked hard for this with the guidance of our Almighty God. Again, thank you, Sir Luis Pedron, for creating a venue for our film where we can showcase our movies, where we can tell stories, where we can inspire people, especially in this time of pandemic. And again, thank you so much for this award, and keep safe everyone, and God bless us all.
And the nominees for Best Actor Feature Film. From the Philippines, from Guerrero 2, actor Art de Guzman. From the Philippines, Guerrero 2, actor Julio Cesar Sabenorio. And from the USA, Angel Mountain, Daniel Grogan. And the winner is... from the Philippines, from Guerrero 2, Julio Cesar Sabenorio.
I'm so happy and honored to receive this award. I thank the Lord God and His Son, the Lord Jesus, for these blessings. I would like to thank as well Brother Eduardo V. Manalo, the Executive Minister of the Iglesia ni Cristo, for his guidance. To my family, thank you for your love and support. And to Mr. Luis Pedron and the International Film Festival Manhattan, thank you for creating a wonderful way to show Filipino talent.
Mandirigma, matatapang, hindi po iyakin. Guerrero! Guerrero!
Now there's also an honorable mention for Art de Guzman, and also Mia Suarez as Best Actress, honorable mention as well. And also, aside from the Guerreros, Jukebox King is also expected to excite movie audiences, as it will bring them into time warp of the great music of the 70s, with the heartaches and life lessons of the man who ruled the airwaves in his time. So I'm talking about none other than Victor Wood. And so unfortunate that he recently passed away, though. So that's what's really going on for EBC Films. So watch out for that. It's going to be an exciting again for EBC Films.
Yes, indeed. Victor Wood left a legacy. Thank you very much and congratulations to Guerrero Dos. I wish we had more time, but we'll see you back tomorrow for more. MJ, thank you so much.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. I'm Juricata here reporting from California. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Alma.
Thank you.
Congratulations again to the whole team behind Guerrero Dos.
Yes.
That's it for tonight's broadcast. Thank you so much for joining us. I am Jay Hero. Please join the broadcast tomorrow.
And at the end of the day, there remains so much more to be grateful for. I'm Alma Angeles. We'll see you back tomorrow. And we live in interesting times.